Good afternoon. Brenda, we'll be attempting to demonstrate cognitive behavior therapy or something along those lines. So I take it.
I can't hear you hardly.
Okay. We'll
Sorry.
be attempting to demonstrate some cognitive behavioral therapy. Just, that's the intent. Okay. This is Brenda Allen, Ricky Williams, Adv Counseling, and this will be okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
So, over a few issues of legal concerns, if you are aware of what, as a counselor, my response, anything you say, be held in confidence. There's only a couple of times that I think if you feel as though you're going to hurt yourself or do damage to yourself or someone else. But you have any questions concerning?
Nope, I understand that.
Okay, so you want to kind of share what's been going on with you, or some things that have been going on with you that you want to address?
Well, I'm really excited that my son is graduating from Job Corps.
Okay.
And he got his high sets last week, 2 weeks ago.
What's that?
Like his high school diploma, but the like GED version of that, but better.
Mm-hmm.
And concerned about my daughter's trip still. We had our biggest fundraiser so far, and the day we had our fundraiser, she didn't want to go. So I was a little concerned about that. I'm concerned about if she doesn't want to go to a fundraiser just 20 minutes away, what's she going to do about flying to Costa Rica by herself?
Okay. So, you say you're a little concerned that she doesn't want to go. You were concerned that she didn't want to go to the function, or you were concerned that maybe she doesn't want to go to Costa Rica?
Oh, I know she wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's going to be able to go.
Okay.
With her anxiety.
Mm-hmm. So, it's just, what is it that, what signs or signals that make you feel as though she may not be able to go?
Because she wouldn't go to her fundraiser. She doesn't particularly like a lot of people, so being around a lot of people intimidates her or gets her anxiety really high. So knowing that we were going to have many people at the fundraiser and that she was going to have to bus tables and be involved and talk to strangers, I think is what had her anxiety really high. And being that she's going to Costa Rica with 25 kids and she knows none of them, that is a big, huge fear of mine.
So, what activated this concern, this fear, is because she was not willing to go to the fundraiser?
Well, that fear's always been in the back of my head.
Okay. So it's an ongoing concern because, as you said earlier, she has
Social anxiety, yeah.
And the consequences of the anxiety would be her not going on the trip.
Right.
Because so what types of things are you doing, or what type of contingency plan or other options in order to bring her anxiety level down? Are there any things that are being done to bring her anxiety down?
She's gonna go see her therapist, which she doesn't like doing, so we'll see if that works. But also talking to her med doctor to see if I can get her on some different meds for when she goes on her trip.
So let me make sure. What activate is so her actions based on anxiety have been to withdraw. So that activates the concern that the consequences will be that she won't be able to go because of
Her anxiety.
her anxiety. Okay. Um, what types of beliefs is this an ongoing thing for you? How would you, okay, with her anxiety or when you sense that she may be experiencing anxiety or anticipate her experiencing an anxiety attack, what types of things do you go through your go through your mind? How do you process it? Like when you feel as though she's about to experience an anxiety attack or something that's about to cause her to have an anxiety attack, what types of things do you
I wish there was something that I could answer that with, except for when I know she's gonna have an anxiety issue going to like a big event or something like that. We've done things like she loves to go to the Christian concert downtown Des Moines, which is free, but there's thousands of people there. So to make it easier for her and to get her to enjoy it, she has to go a couple hours before the concert starts, like when there's not very many people there. And as long as she's in the building as it gets full, she's okay. She's with her people that she needs to be with, and she's okay then. So that's easy to do, but this getting on an airplane with total strangers, I'm not sure there's going to be anything that I can do besides medicate her.
so just to so what activates is anticipating the trip and her actions with the fundraiser leads you to believe that it may be an issue when it comes time to make the trip.
Because all the people that came to the fundraiser may have been strangers to her, but not to me. 90% of them were my friends, my coworkers, my people, and she has heard me talk about them and knows a little bit about them, and shouldn't have been anxious about that, because she knows that I was there with her and I would be there for her and the two of us would do it together. This trip is her and her alone, and so if she can't do it when I'm right there with her, how is she going to do it by herself? I mean, I can't even go to the gate with her anymore. You know how airports are now? You can't even get as far as the gate.
Right. I'm getting out of the gate. That's a good analogy. So your belief is that based on her history and what the trip entails, that it may be overwhelming for her.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm wrong though. I mean, it's $3,600 that we raised or I gave her, plus her flights, plus her spending money, plus her passport. That was $140 $40 I just spent. So I'm really hoping that I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, the hope, so that's, hope is good. Also, what types of things can you do in conjunction with her, maybe to prepare her for that moment? You mentioned earlier about if she goes to a concert, she goes earlier and she's able to, a couple hours earlier or something, give her enough time to where she gets acclimated to where she is, and then maybe then the masses won't be so overwhelming to her. I think that.
Right, that's what I said.
Okay. So what do you believe that you can do to help her prepare for that moment when she will have to board the plane and meet all these strangers?
Like I said, she's gonna go back to her therapist, and we'll talk about it during therapy, and possibly going out to the airport more than 2 hours beforehand. But I don't know if that's even gonna make a difference, because like I said, my stopping point is here, and she still has to go further to even get to the where they board the planes. I can't even get that far with her. So when I have to stop, when my stopping point comes and she continues on the journey down the hallway of the airport, anything could happen from the minute I stop till the plane leaves. You know, she could decide not to get on the plane. She could decide to hide in the bathroom. She could
I mean, it's kind of like there's so many options of that pop that.
I mean, I want to think positive though. I want to say she's going to do this. I want to. It's a once in a lifetime experience for her, and I think it's a huge growing experience. And we talk about that too, about how important it is for her future to do this.
So in these conversations, are there signs that do you anticipate? Do you
No.
sense anxiety when you're
No.
having this conversation?
Just like the day of the fundraiser, she was all about going to the fundraiser all day long. And then a half hour before we were supposed to leave, I told her to get ready, and she disappeared upstairs in her bedroom. And when I went up there, she was underneath her blanket and she wasn't moving. But all day long we talked about it, and it was no big deal. She was all excited about it.
So what do you believe make this that make her
I have no idea.
is this the first time, or are there other instances that she was able to overcome her and not a full anxiety attack, but some of the
Well, like the example I gave you of the going to the concert, that was wonderful. She didn't have any problems at all. But the 2 years prior to that, when she went to that exact same concert, and they got there at the same time everybody else was getting there, within 5 minutes of being there, she smashed her phone and wouldn't do anything.
this happens. Is that more? Would you expect in say if she went to 10 events, is your belief that she would have anxiety? What number between one do you think would be?
I honestly can't answer that. I would say that it depends on how the approach of it is. Again, the same thing if we go way beforehand and she's there before the big crowds, I think she can make all 10 of them. If you walk in the half hour before it starts, I don't know if she'd make any of them.
Okay, well, that's progress. Because, the 2 hours, we know 2 hours was sufficient at the concert, and, we believe that 30 minutes, isn't enough time.
But we talked all day about it, so I don't feel like I only gave her 30 minutes to get ready. We talked about it all day.
So, it's your belief that talking about it has little effect on the final decision? Like you said, you talked about it all day, and there was no signs that she was not going to, be able to go.
Right.
And then suddenly she wasn't able. Were there any factors or any anything that contributed to her not being? What was different about her? Are there anything that you can specifically say that when this happens, she's not able to overcome those obstacles, and when this happens, or as long as we stay in this area, she's able to.
I guess I don't know what you mean. When she goes up to her room and covers herself with a blanket, she ain't going nowhere. I know that for sure.
Okay, yeah. That's a pretty good sign that she's probably not going to. She said, let's go, and then she goes the other direction and wanted to go. I know quite often, sometimes there's some things that contribute to the build of the anxiety to get to the point to where it's uncontrollable. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, a series of things that may happen. Maybe a frame of mind or some trigger that overwhelms her, or maybe you said before, or you were talking about when you go with her, mostly you kind of take on the role of comforter, and that kind of gives her that kind of strength to be able to continue, to get through that particular event. So what do you believe other than just the way, like are precursors or predictors of whether when she's getting into a negative state of mind to where she feels like she's not able to deal with the scenario?
I can't answer that. I can tell you that since she's been in 3rd grade, we've been trying to figure out what her triggers are, and they're different all the time. There's nothing specific with her that triggers her.
Okay. I guess a little clear, like there are many factors that contribute to most outcomes. I think I have found for myself, especially because I have, and most people do have some form of anxiety. Sometimes it may not be overwhelming, but they put themselves in the best possibility to overcome the fear of something that would put her in a good place, in the best possible place to handle because it's a while before she goes, right? What thoughts and practices do you think we can implement to get her better able to deal with those things that cause the anxiety to be overwhelming?
Do you have suggestions?
Well, I think each individual is different. Different individuals have different triggers. Some people love crowds and hate being alone. Some people, so there's different warning signs, things that you anticipate and say, this is the best possible position for her, or I know she can't handle. Like some people don't like to be rushed, and when, for me, I start getting rushed and then everything kind of gets, and I lose focus on simple things, so everything becomes overwhelming because I'm trying to do too much. And that's just an example. And you mentioned earlier that since the third grade, she's kind of done her own. Sometimes there are different warning signs, that say I need to pay special attention to this because there's a possibility of something happening. Does her attacks when she's around these great? Are there ever times that she's able to go around large crowds and get through it and without having an anxiety attack?
Yeah.
Okay. What kinds of situations? Just one, just maybe one.
Like the flea market, she doesn't have a problem there.
Okay. So I guess what things are different in at the flea market?
Nothing.
Okay. But if there was nothing different, then we would probably prepare for an anxiety attack.
Well, I always am prepared for it because it could happen anywhere.
Right. But
like the first craft show that we had for her fundraiser, she was there for less than a half hour, and all of a sudden she had a stomach ache and had to go home. And one of the craft shows she got sick and had to go, or one of the flea markets she got sick and had to go home. So there really aren't any triggers with her. Everything is different. You put her with me and Tabby, she's got her two biggest supports, and usually that's a huge help in keeping her non-triggered or keep her anxiety at check, but it doesn't always work.
Okay. Well, I think we're making a lot of progress here. So the belief is that, well, I'm kind of hearing, and I know that it's not correct, if you could help to clear it up, because I kind of like that if you and Tabby aren't with her, then she's going to have an anxiety attack.
No, that's not true either.
Okay. So let's, can you think of an instance where she was with someone else or went somewhere and you and Tabby were not there and she made it through that event, or situation where you may have felt as though she may not be able to handle this and she was able to handle it?
She went to homecoming last year. I didn't think she was going to be able to handle that, but she did.
Okay. So, what did she share with you about, did you guys have a conversation about homecoming and how it kind of unfolded?
She said she didn't dance. She had fun, whatever fun that meant, because it didn't sound like she did anything but either sit on the bleachers or stand against the wall.
So, well, that's probably fun. So, if she's having fun, then that may help decrease the possibility of anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I should take her on a flight before we go. Maybe her and I should go on vacation.
I mean, that actually, I don't know if she's going to Costa Rica, you said, and talking about fundraising. I don't know how many funds you guys are raising, and if you're able to make a practice run, since it gets comfortable. But there, can you think of any other options that you could maybe introduce her to?
She has a list of all the students that are going, and she's emailed some of them already.
Okay.
So she's trying to get to know some of them.
You try to get to know some of them. Has she visited an airport? Has she been on?
Yes, she's been to an airport before.
Okay. So.
But she's never been on an airplane.
Okay. I mean, because a certain amount of unknown, the fear of the unknown is probably a great fear that most of us have, and a lot of times we find that we come to terms with most of the time mine or my thoughts are my biggest down, are greater than the event that happens, anticipated process. So having fun, maybe going to on some, well, not trips per se, but trips to the airport and the friends. That's progress. What you think?
Sure.
Sure.
That's a great idea.
Okay, but
She's a big reader too, so I want to make sure she has something along to read while she's on the airport plane.
I mean, because there are times, a lot of times our fears and anxiety, I know that sometimes anxiety comes from what we anticipate is going to happen in the situation we're not familiar with it, or there's a certain fear of something.
Well, we've had lots of conversations about flying. My first time of ever flying, I flew by myself, so I've given her that experience through how I felt and what I went through flying for the first time by myself. She's talked to my mom and dad who have flown often and about their flights and good things about them, and she has a lot of knowledge, secondhand knowledge, but nothing herself. So I think that's going to be, I know it was for me, a huge fear is, this big, huge, very heavy airplane somehow gets up in the sky, So I think that's going to be just like it would be for anybody else, a fear, an anxiety, But I think that getting somebody to travel with her, even if she doesn't know them beforehand, will help that.
Someone who, and you said she likes to read a lot, maybe some literature or something
Yeah, I'll book to go with her.
about, well, to read, that's especially for me, she's going to Costa Rica, I have to have something, let's do on the flight together, long trips, but maybe, you said earlier about she may, that may be a moment for, because she doesn't have any experience, but does she transfer, like if she reads about flying, do you think that would hurt the situation or help the situation, or if you went to on a field trip to the airport, I know security's pretty good with things now, it's not as easy as it was
well, anybody can walk into the airport. You just can't get to the gates at all.
Right, right. Well, I think, one more, to kind of make it more, a better, explanation, like, you were able to go to the airport, take her to the airport and kind of, explain that, well, this is when you go through, why do I have to go through the metal detector? Why I gotta take my shoes off? You know, a lot of times, as I said earlier, the unknown, when we, I'm afraid of things that I don't know. It's almost a, you know, natural reaction. So, the more we can get familiar with that, a scenario, then maybe it would tilt the scales a little in the favor of her being able to, you know, if she's never been to the airport. I know sometimes I just go and just hearing a plane fly over her head kind of, go, oh, I've experienced that before. It's just a plane flying over her. Yeah. So, yeah, maybe getting to the airport or bus station or somewhere where there's lots of strangers. It almost sounds overwhelming to me. But in an environment that kind of gives her and her senses of an opportunity to see what it actually is like when she does fly.
Right.
You know.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Are there any other things that maybe other instances of like how does she get to school? Does she have
On a school bus with 7 other kids.
7?
Yeah.
Well, I've been on flights and they're wrong. So but then she goes to school and she does okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, I know.
But her classrooms are really small.
Okay.
There's only 7 kids downstairs with her, and then upstairs she has 3 classes, and the most people that are in any of her classes are 14.
Okay, that sounds great. I think that what we'll try to do, I'd like to do, if you could, as we kind of wrap it up, try to think of some situations